Hey everybody, Spencer Hogan here, Business Development Manager with the Fidance with my friend Jeff Reed. He is the IT Operations Manager with Hobart Service. Jeff, want to introduce yourself real quick to the good people?
Hi there, everybody. I'm Jeff Reed. As Spencer said, I'm the IT operations manager. I've just been with Hobart for just over 2.5 years now. I spent 20 years though in the IT industry, doing various roles within IT, everything from from entry level service desk to managing data center, project management, and the like.
Sweet. And Jeff, we got Jeff and I got connected sometime in 2023. I think we just bumped into each other at an event, or maybe it was an email exchange or something. And we've done some work with Hobart and Midmark in the past, and so we've struck up a relationship. And I thought you'd have a kind of a great story and some great insights to share. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing your time with myself as well as the folks that'll be reading and watching this. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let Yeah, let's jump on in here, my man. So, first question, let's talk about your early life experiences. So, tell me a bit about your early life experiences. How did your upbringing as an adolescent shape your perspective on leadership and problem solving?
Sure. As I thought about this question, I thought, my parents were something that first came to mind, around how, they really shaped my upbringing, being surrounded by people who work hard, do what they say they're going to do. Some of those values, I think, were definitely a starter for that. Not only my parents, through my school career, through teachers, through coaches, I had a lot of people who really believed in me and that I could do things, at times when you may doubt yourself. So I think those were some of the things when I look back at my adolescent career and life. Those were definitely impactful things. At one point, I thought I was going to be a teacher. And in my path of life kind of took me a different direction. But those are some of the reasons why I've always been passionate about helping others and when it comes to problem solving. Sometimes as guys, we want to be the fixers of things, right? And one of the
Always.
biggest challenges is getting, not always being the one to fix it. Sometimes somebody else can fix it, and it's about teaching someone else or encouraging someone else or help giving someone guidance. And I find that I got that a lot as I was growing up as well. Allowing me to make mistakes at times, and then also learn from those mistakes and become better overall person. So I think with the guidance and support from my family, my school life, a lot of that helped guide me in my upbringing.
Can you think of, and this could be in your early life, this could be earlier in your career, but can you think of a pivotal moment where something happened, or maybe it was a project, or you had a moment in your career or just your life that significantly contributed to your growth as a leader? Can you describe that? Maybe if there's a story there, would love to hear about that.
Sure. So I mean, I started in my very early career in high school. I was working in the food service industry, doing expediting at a restaurant. So that was a role that as a 16-year-old kid, I had some responsibility. I had good management there that allowed you to learn and figure things out, because you kind of have to figure things out when it's a busy kitchen and things are going. So that was one of my first memories of like my first job and really having some of that responsibility and really a word I think of as being empowered to kind of do the job. I think as I got older and moved into the career life, I've had a couple of managers there as well that were very empowering. I think that's a big thing that I've taken to heart as I look at my growth and the growth of other people. When you're empowered, you take more ownership of something. When you're empowered, it's your drive and your ability to do better. So there's been projects, and you mentioned earlier, I mentioned that I worked at Midmark, and I had projects there where I was empowered to help make decisions or take a project in a certain direction. I think those were some pivotal areas where my management staff at that time really empowered me to take a step out of maybe a comfort zone, and try something different. It's okay to fail. That mentality, we say it all the time, but when you have it in action, it really does make a difference, and it allows you to be successful and learn.
Empowering's a lot. It sounds like that's a big piece of your leadership style. How do you empower your people? Give me an example. What does that look like? And you
Well,
can't just
it's
say letting them fail, because
yeah, that is
yeah,
part of
that's
it,
the
but
easy one. Yeah,
but it's what I like to do is I like to bring in my experience because I have failed quite amount in the past, and take things that maybe not give the answer, but steer someone in a direction of how to get there, or ask the right. Oftentimes, it's asking the right questions to pull out the answer. The individual is going to answer it themselves as long as they've been given some guidance to get down that path. And oftentimes that is the best case scenario, is they do answer it themselves. That's the fun part. Watching somebody come to that solution, and not just being told what to do, because nobody wants to be told what to do by their manager, supervisor, or otherwise. They want to be empowered to help make decisions and be successful in that manner.
I think one of the hardest things in leadership is with this piece you're describing, is letting somebody find their way to the answer and providing some guidance. But I think about in my own career and even my role now about gosh, like I don't even like the Avengers movies, but like I think of Thanos, like oh, gosh, I'll just do it myself. Like
Yeah.
it's like when somebody's doing a task or they're asking you a question and it's like no, like I might as well just do this. I know exactly what I want, what we need here. It's
Sure.
so difficult for me to allow myself to humble. I really think it's a humility thing, to humble myself and say, no, let them figure it out. Don't. It doesn't matter if you know the answer. Let them figure out how to get to the answer.
And that's tough sometimes. It is, and I'm still learning every day, right? How to do that. Not all heroes wear capes, or everybody wants to be the hero and solve the problem. But I'll say I do find that gratification, as I said, when someone else can solve it and figure it out. You realize that's something that somebody let me do in the past, right? Figure it out on my own, and you're much more as the person who's solving that problem. It just feels so much better to have solved it yourself without being just told what to do. So
Yeah,
there's gratifying. It's both gratifying in being the person doing that and learning that, and seeing someone do it.
yeah, it's really well said. So, as the IT operations manager, what do you consider the most challenging aspects of your role? How do you navigate those challenges?
I similar before, always being the fixer. You don't always have to do that. Um, I think that's, when you're over operations, there's a lot of facets of that. You have the infrastructure, the service desk. There's people doing different roles and different functions within the business. Everybody has a role to do. And for me to be able to take a step back and look at how we're functioning as a group, and make sure that everybody's has the tools that they need. They have the direction that they need. And these are again things that I'm continually trying to work on, because I don't have all the answers.
Right.
But I continue to do that, and in that role, it's about trying to be as transparent as possible, about making sure that people have the tools and information they need to do the best job they can.
Do you guys so I just because I know a bit about what you're up to these days with Hobart, how have you guys navigated hiring? So how have you navigated bringing in the right skill sets, figuring out which skill sets to bring in? How have at least in your specific org, how have
Mhm.
you parsed through and made those decisions from a technical standpoint?
Sure. So my company, ITW Corporate, is our corporate company, and Hobart Service is a member of that company. We really do a lot of on-site. We don't do a lot of remote work. So I came from an environment where we did more remote hiring. So that creates its own challenge. We're in Troy, Ohio. When you have a shortened span of where you can be pulling resources, it does make it a bit of a challenge. One of the great stories I'd like to share is, we've been able to even use internal people. So, take somebody who's for instance, I had a person who was on the service desk, and really just killing it there. We had a need and an opportunity to enhance our cybersecurity footprint. And this person's very passionate about that, actually going to school for that. So there was an opportunity within to promote somebody up to a role where they could really just shine and do what they need to do. So while and with us also being part of a larger organization, there's several, even in my building, there's like 4 businesses within this building, right? So there's opportunity all over, whether it's with, Hobart Service, my company, or even in another division, which we've actually had happen. A great opportunity would pop open and they could go over there. So we're very fortunate that we're a larger company. We have a lot of opportunity for that type of interaction or movement within the business. So that's one of the great stories. I mean, we obviously we cast a net. This year we're actually doing an internship, which is, I've only been here 2 years, so it's my first time experiencing it here. But I think that having an intern come in and work with us from that's actually a student from the University of Dayton, coming in here and working alongside my team. They're gonna jump right in and just be part of the team, be part of those of that group. And I think that's how they're going to be able to learn and try things and fail. I know we don't like to say that, but that's what we're looking to have them do. So I think those are the ways that we're able to find talent. Where possible, we'd love to do it within.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, and I know that upskilling, I call that upskilling your workforce, is I'm going to make like a very general statement here, but I feel like that's almost I feel like that is not the first way we solve problems. I think that generally speaking, we turn to a new resource, a new hire, a new person, and hiring's freaking hard, man. Like it is.
Yep.
It is like finding the right skill set is already hard, like the right tech stack. Like you're not going to find 100%. You might find 80%, and you got to make sure that 80% is right, and then the culture piece of it. And what are you thinking? I know
I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I think the culture aspect of it is even more challenging because you can teach somebody the technical bits. Having somebody who's really smart and good at something doesn't necessarily mean they're a team player or they're going to be able to to get in and really hit the ground running with your team. So I think coming from Midmark to Hobart, they both have great cultures, and that's something that I really was really happy about when I came to Hobart Service. The environment is very similar. It was very team oriented. Everybody is willing to help everyone out. It's very inclusive from that perspective. So that is a challenge when you're hiring because you don't know until you really get somebody in, right?
That's right.
And they got a few months in and you really get an understanding. But I've been very happy with the hires we have done. I think that people have come in and really embraced the culture here, and I think that is a big part of it.
What's a word you would use to describe your guys' culture?
Inclusive. I think it's inclusivity. I often joke that, I mean, within my team, nobody's afraid to reach out to someone else. It may not even be something they can solve, but sometimes having that conversation or talking through a problem, we call it maybe like swarming on an issue. It can uncover what the issue is, and it's something that person maybe didn't fix, but they got you to the solution. So I've just been really impressed by my team doing that kind of work when it comes to solving problems.
I don't know if that's your guys' official language for it, but I really like that. You're swarming the issue. Let's swarm the issue.
Yeah.
That's a great buzzword you could use.
It's amazing how often that happens where somebody's struggling with something. They've been struggling for a couple of days, a couple hours, whatever it may be. And just to reach out and say, hey, I need some help. And we solve it, within short period of time. And everybody's willing to jump in. So that's what's pretty cool about my team.
That's great. Yeah, and that speaks to your earlier bigger point on empowering team members. I like it takes a very humble person that fits well in a culture to acknowledge I'm struggling with this, or there's this big problem that I'm struggling with and I need help. Let's swarm the problem together, right? That's takes a lot of humility, man, to do that.
And you got to
And
make it safe for them to be able to do that.
that's right. That's right, man. How do you, we could talk about that specifically for a long time.
Sure.
Like, in fact, so safe is the word that you just used. Like, you got to make it safe for them to fail, safe for them to admit I need help, right? How
Yep.
are you making your team members feel comfortable with sharing about challenges that they're having? Can you think of one practical thing or maybe an example of how you showed them that it's okay to do this?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a good example. I mean, we have our one-on-ones, and and it's always, my door is always open, so don't be afraid to stop in. Has been my kind of my MO. It doesn't need to wait till a bi-weekly meeting or anything. Just stop in if there's something going on. Um, I guess yeah, struggling a bit there. I guess it's really just making sure that they are aware of, to come with any issues, any problems. Feel comfortable that you can do that.
Sure. Good stuff, man. Let's move into industry trends here. So,
Sure.
security has become a big part of your job. Tell me a bit about how is security evolving? What are some advice or tips you would share with other leaders in the marketplace on cybersecurity?
Sure. Yeah. Cybersecurity is an ever-changing event. Just in the short time that I've been here, we've actually done quite a bit of a change in just how we're looking at cybersecurity, how we're organizing our team, because it is very important. While we have always dealt with cybersecurity, if we're not putting significant or specific time and energy towards it, it's going to continue to be this tech debt that you're having to deal with. So it always changes from one day to the next, right? I mean, it's changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. So I think that's what makes it so much fun and more engaging, for the team, because it is something different every day. It's not just the same thing every day, day in and day out. In order to stay on top of it, though, you got to surround yourself with smart people that are passionate about it, and people who understand it, and are willing to sometimes make tough decisions, whether it's policy or otherwise, right? To do what's best for the company, to protect the company. That's what we're there for. We're there to do. So having a team around you has been, what I've seen has been the biggest thing. Having people who, as I said, we sort of took some folks who weren't necessarily specifically cybersecurity and said, hey, we're gonna have you focus on this now. And we made leaps and bounds with our cybersecurity footprint since then. So really, really proud and proud to say that for the team. Sometimes we don't have to just settle for status quo when it comes to security, because you wanna really stay on top of it. And while one thing I've heard someone say is, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when, and how are you going to react to it? Because even the big companies, the big security companies out there, are still getting attacked by bad actors. So it's more, what are we doing to minimize? And then if said incident would happen, what's your ability to recover or remediate in a short term? Because that's what's going to save the money save the business money, right? You've been able to do that. So educate yourself, educate your team, ensure that you have the support from your leaders, leadership that understands what cybersecurity is and why it's important, are all aspects of how it's evolving and how it's changed just in the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, it has significantly changed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and it's funny, we definitely share the same thing with our clients of it's not if but when, and this is hilarious, but incident response planning, I think, is one of the least attractive topics in cybersecurity. Like, you go to a security conference, and the breakout on building incident response plans are the least attended. It's not a very
Yeah.
attractive topic to people, right? Like, how do we pick up the pieces, so to speak? But it's paramount. It's just as significant as cyber intelligence or threat intelligence or governance or pieces of security that are, I think, much more engaging. It's hey, when stuff does hit the fan, how are we minimizing loss? How are we
Yeah.
remediating? How are we bouncing back so the business can get back online? And
How are we communicating if we need to communicate? It's
yeah, right, right.
I think they're very critical and needed, because just as you said, I mean, when an incident is happening, everything's on fire, right? So it's a lot of confusion, and if you can have some of the basic table stakes things in place to help guide you down that process, that's what those exercises are for. My team actually enjoys them, doing the exercise, because it's real world. You're kind of getting into things we might talk about, but doing the exercise puts some,
Right.
it helps with your muscle memory, right? You're gonna flex these muscles. You're gonna try to do do those steps, do those things. Now, you may not be able to cover it all because you never know what incident's going to happen, right? What you may think is going to happen may never happen, and so you can't think of it all. But having some of the best practices, processes, things in place, the business knows what they need to do. You know what you need to do because you're busy fighting a problem. You know, it's just, I think overall, I think sometimes incidents like that get a bad rap, or that those sessions get a bad rap, but it is very, very important, and doing it right can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's doing it right makes a big difference, and every organization and every person in my network that's in security has shared with me that it's a challenge creating a security culture at your organization, and security people are, I think, generally viewed as like the red tape people, the smack your hand people, or the don't do this. Like, and I think a lot of elite people in leadership are naturally creative and entrepreneurial and idea people, and I think it's when you're in security, man, it's that song and dance of, hey, we are not just uh, preventing you from accomplishing things, but we are enabling you to accomplish things. That's a challenging song and dance there, man, and creating that culture.
It is, and the challenge we've had a very similar challenge. And how do you make it a positive spin? I mean, you want to
Yeah, right.
reward phishing tests is a good example. You want to reward people for not falling for the phishing test, right? Instead of only chastising those that do fail. So there's different
Right.
ways to do that. You can gamify it. You can do different things to try to put a spin on. The reality is it's protecting the company, protecting the business, and at the end of the day, that's what's most important. So it is a challenge. It is a challenging role, but it has a very significant role for the
Right.
business.
Really good. Hey, last question here. Are there any trends that other folks in security should be paying attention to? Or if not in security, how about within technology at large?
Yeah. So I mean, as we were mentioning before, the biggest thing I've noticed about cybersecurity is that breaches aren't anybody. It can happen to anybody, the biggest companies and the smallest companies, right? So we're all vulnerable to it. What can we do to set ourselves in a better stance and then react to those incidents when they happen? I think the more work you can do, the more prep you can do for things like that, and be prepared, do best practices. I mean, there's different programs out there that help guide you down those paths. Just always have your eye on that direction, and try to work towards a better cybersecurity environment. When it comes to trends that I'm seeing, of course, the big thing now is artificial intelligence. That means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For me, I look at it more as an enabler. I don't expect AI to answer necessarily things for me, but to give guidance or a thought that I may not have had, or something to that nature. So I think I don't think it's going to take everybody's job away, or some of the scary things we might hear about AI.
Conspiracy theory stuff. Yeah.
But I definitely think, when we're in IT and we do think, something as simple as Google searching for problems, right? That we always used to use Google for things and problems, and you could get 5 or 6 different things, put it together, and kind of come up with a solution. In my opinion, that's kind of what some of AI is doing for us in areas. It's taking a lot of data, it's giving it a more of a concise way that you can use it. Now, you don't just take it for gospel. You still have to validate and check it against things. But I think it's a great opportunity to help you. It's an enabler, in my opinion, more than anything. So I think that's an area that, as all these different tools and solutions and applications try to learn how to use it, it's how can you take what we already have? We already have all this data. How can we make that more valuable as a user? So that's where I think technology like that's going to be very helpful. Now, the risk in some of that is that all that data is out there and you need to keep it secure, right? If it's intellectual property and whatnot, you need to ensure that data is not getting out. So cybersecurity part of it again, right? Having good policies, having good understanding of where and what your data is, are all going to be important to allow you to do things with AI and where that's going to take us in the future.
Yeah, we had a panel last quarter about this, specifically about standing up an AI program, and about data and the value and significance of data governance. And One of the big pieces that I took away from that panel was one of our clients had shared that, hey, it's such a new tool. It's still in its infancy. I mean, there's still so little governance from a legal perspective in our country. It's
Yep.
frightening, honestly, and that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, but that piece of advice that panelists had shared was, hey, all of the tools that you're leveraging inside your organization, they're trying to integrate AI. And the best way to integrate AI in a safe way in your organization is to stand up a governance model, but
Yeah.
then leverage those capabilities within the tools and SaaS applications that you're already using, because those are being baked into those softwares. So
Yeah. I
there are
think
certainly
having the understanding of how it's being used by your products, by your tools. So you do have to get in and understand what are they doing with it, how are they using it, and you're right, it is very new. So we don't have all the answers yet on how
right.
that's done, but that's to try to stay out in front of it. You need to understand, Microsoft applications right now are doing some things with transcribing, and it's collecting that information. It's understanding how it's doing it. What is it doing with that data?
Right. Yeah. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for your time, man. It's always great meeting with you, and appreciate your insights. Love the pieces on empower your people, creating a culture, a security culture, creating an environment where your people feel comfortable with failing and opening up about challenges and storming a problem together. Really good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. See you guys.